Were you a backbencher in school and college?
We create environments. Like today, the communities that you will experience created by us, they are a holistic environment that you are getting in. I call myself not a developer, not a builder, I call myself a chief gardener, and I'm happy to remain that.
So, how much of an importance do you think obsession plays while building something truly great?
It's only obsession that works. If you're not obsessed with what you're doing, you can't reach greater heights.
When you enter this place, how do you feel? How does your heart feel?
Blessed. One word, blessed.
How do you want your legacy through the SPA group and through Frangipani Estate to be remembered? Hello and welcome to the Backbench Masterclass. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mr. Prashant Kajaria, the Managing Director of the SPA Group.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the podcast, sir.
Thank you for having me over.
So the first question that we ask all of our guests is, were you a backbencher in school and college?
Unfortunately, not a backbencher. I was pretty focused in my academics and had a flair for multi-sports and a more active and a kind of a favorite to a lot of teachers. So, not a backbencher. But most of my friends have been backbenchers.
Okay.
And happy to know that they've really excelled in life as well. So that's how it is.
So what was your childhood like?
Oh, childhood. So I was born and grew up in Calcutta, did my schooling with La Martiniere and then my college in St. Xavier's, Calcutta. And the childhood was, we were born in a joint family with my grandparents, my uncle, and it was a large family. And we grew up with a lot of love and care, if I may put it, to begin with. Extreme level of discipline by my parents in those days, because that time life was different, as you know, and parents had a lot of say, and that was dictated. And yeah, and a lot of our energy was channelized into post school activities. A lot of sports was encouraged. Education was a priority. I mean, being basically fundamentally disciplined was very important. That's the only thing, if I reflect back on childhood, was, if I look back, is that it wasn't stray. It was very, very structured and very disciplined. That's all I can say.
How much of an impact do you think that has played in who you are today?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because today, I believe to do anything in life, the first asset that you need to have is self-discipline. Without self-discipline and focus, whatever, you're a sports person, businessman, an artist, whatever, there are two things. One is self-discipline and one is passion. These are the two things that take you up the through your life, if I may. It there's there's no definition to success or failure in my understanding, because some people's barometer of success could be their satisfied, happy-go-lucky life, and some people may be chasing very top-line numbers. So the barometer of satisfaction is very independent. But two things that I know is common to people is, one, discipline, and one is passion. Those who have had these two have had a very organic, focused life to achieve whatever fulfillment they've asked for. This is how I perceive. So your question, that how that has structured, today at the age of 21, I came to Bangalore, a place where language, locations, no relatives, no friends, nothing. I mean, absolutely dumped in the wilderness kind of a feeling. But there was no choice, because we were looking at floriculture to begin with. And that was purely because of my passion for nature. And there was a lot of promotion by the Dutch in the newspapers relating to floriculture, and that India is a very growing, is a place where, there's a lot of potential for floriculture. And the study told us that Bangalore or Pune were some of the top locations because of the climatic conditions and the soil conditions. So long and short of it, we basically decided that Bangalore it is, and we started with our one of the first 100% EOU floriculture units in the country. And yeah, we did that for 15 years, and that's what got me to Bangalore.
So, what is that journey like moving from Calcutta to Bangalore at the age of 21 in a place that you don't know anyone, and you're essentially just coming. You're young and you've come to a new place. What is that experience like setting up a business here?
So, two thoughts crossed my mind. One, the challenging side, and one, the opportunity side. The challenging side was that everything was against me. My age, to begin with, at 21, no one took me seriously, which is very obvious and understandable. The location, the language, the entry barriers, all those things challenged me. The opportunity was too big in front of me that I was able to grow on my own. I did not have the frills and the supports that I was carrying in Calcutta as a family business, because we hail from a, a blessed family house where businesses were going on so smoothly and everything was so hunky dory. We just figured out that, I mean, that was not my personal calling, and that's where my dad encouraged me. And today my father is my mentor, and he is the reason I am where I am. And I give him and my God all the credit for whatever that they have got me into. Had it not been for my father's motivation, encouragement, and his belief in me, I wouldn't be sitting where I am, because the journey that began wasn't easy. We lost tons and tons of money because we started floriculture, greenfield industry. We had zero idea that where we are heading, and we made so many mistakes and blunders, if I may say, and we lost a lot of money. But at no point did my father, in fact, there was a time where I said, listen, I want to wrap up and go back. And my father gave one statement that turned my life around. He said, listen, there are people who go to do MBA and it costs almost 1 crore of rupees. And and we were making a lot of losses. He said, this is your learning cost. And don't worry, it will pay us back many folds. And here I'm thinking that, I'm blowing up or I'm losing my dad's hard earned money. And on the other side, here is my father who is not even blinking an eyelid on the money that is getting lost. In fact, he's encouraging me to carry on without knowing what the future is in sight. Let me tell you that we had no background knowledge, or the industry was not known to this country. So there's no precedence whether we'll succeed also or not. And in spite of that, he has encouraged me. That's called unconditional support, right? So that got me to where we are today.
Can you share a bit about about the lessons that you've learned in that business?
In floriculture.
No, not just in floriculture. About when you started, and you mentioned that you made a lot of mistakes. What are some lessons that you've learned from that entire experience, or your MBA perhaps?
Yeah, that let's say on ground
Yes.
MBA, that's very rightly put. The lessons that I think, that take backs which I can recollect very strongly: a, better to make mistakes rather than procrastinate, was one strong takeaway that I felt. Treat your business or your office as your temple. Treat your people with love and care. Though I am quite a strong taskmaster, I lose my control quite easily, though I mellowed down now with my daughters joining in. But I'm a stickler for perfection, because what floriculture taught us is time is money, because we were handling perishables. There was no tomorrow. So I have a strong conviction and a strong day to day belief that what work we can finish today should be finished today, not to be left for tomorrow. Because that's how, from the age of 21, for the 15 years of floriculture that I did, every day we were sitting on a time bomb. We had to get our work done that day, that moment, if you didn't fertilize on time, so everything was clockwork. And then only you had if your product didn't come during, let's say, Valentine season is which was a peak, and if the flowers didn't come in the scheduled time and it came just a week later, apart from climate, which was the unknown factor, always the risk factor, but assuming factoring all that, if your flowers came a little late, what would be worth, say, $50 a stem would not sell for 50 paisa a stem. That was the level of time bound. So those were certain things that the nature of the business, as much as that time I would crib, detest that why did I get into this and blah blah blah. Today when I reflect, the kind of things that that business taught me, no university on earth can teach you. What a perishable greenfield industry on ground can teach you.
That's truly fascinating, sir. Then how did you venture into real estate exactly?
So the broad term of real estate, yes, it what we are doing now comes under the classification of real estate. But typically, my whole idea, my whole intent was that my whole experience of landscape and nature and my passion for nature, how can I share it with people who will resonate with me, who will understand my philosophy. I don't know, from childhood I have been of this conviction that nature is above us. I had this strange sense of respecting and, praying to nature. Like, I, as a kid until today, I pray to trees, I pray to the sun god, I pray to rain, I pray to the earth. I mean, these are things, I don't look at monuments or idols so much for worship, but I connect with nature surrounding me. There, every part and parcel of every tree, every leaf, they emit a certain energy, and that energy is what resonates with your aura, with your energy. This is something that I personally believe in. And I just felt that there would be a lot of people on earth who, or a lot of people who will relate to what I think. I mean, I may be thinking outlandish, I may be a maverick, I don't know, but I am what I am, and that's how I want to live my journey. I want to pursue my passion. And then I said, what is the way, what is a platform in which I can resonate this with others? Land. Because if I have to dwell with nature, land is where nature grows. That's where. Now what do? I have to get people. So it became a, so the business of real estate became a byproduct to the persuasion of my passion. And therefore the communities that we create, like, we don't believe in saying that we create spaces, we create environments. We are very very clear, because creating real estate, creating lot of people can do, but what requires a lot of passion and lot of patience and lot of research and endurance is when you are creating a large environment. Like today, the communities that you will experience created by us, they are a holistic environment that you are getting into. You're not buying into a piece of real estate, you're buying into a piece of philosophy, and that philosophy is backed by the environment it is encompassed in. So that's pretty much what was my take back from my previous, and how I blended it into. So it was basically my experience of being into nature firsthand. Like all the landscaping till today that my communities have been done by me personally, out of my sheer pleasure. I mean, coming and taking a walk down my communities just gives me the kick that these plants as small saplings were planted by me, and how we take care of children is how they are taken care of. I visit here on a frequent basis, go around the community, see what more we can do, how better can we make the space. That's what we do.
So have everyone's heard of the concept of product market fit, but while you were speaking about this, the only thing that I could think of was founder product fit. Because who better to build a community, not just a community, who better to build an environment than a person whose core belief and philosophy is a love for nature?
Absolutely. I mean, today, I'm not saying that we have done anything outlandish or something that others cannot. It is just something that truly resonated with me, and this is a, yes, it's a founder product rather than a industry need based product or a location based product or a this is purely something that I've done it out of passion, and we believe. I have no proof, but we, of course, today we have a crazy proof. But when I got down and started this journey, I didn't know if anybody will relate to what I am doing. I had zero idea, but I said I want to walk this path. And as we walk along, I'm sure more hands will join. And that's what's happening. And today we are so proud that a community of us called SPA EcoCity, which was a 50-acre development, and we have sold out and we demand for phase 2, which we are now in the process of creating, because we created luxury next level, a 6-acre resort, and we have 9 theme parks there for different age groups, from uh, toddlers to teenagers to adults to senior citizens to pet park. And I mean, there are 9 parks and they are sizable parks, a concept which we did about 9-10 years back when we were on the drawing board. I didn't know if people will relate to what I'm talking. Today, just a plotted development would have the compulsory park which you have to provide by government statute. But that was not my idea. My idea was that give them space, give them their me time space. So yes, I mean, to tell you that when you're doing something out of passion now, then you're not going to the templates, you're not going to the cookie cutter environment. As you said, this is a very founder driven, it's a very passion driven kind of a company. So whatever we do now, we do with a lot of passion.
So would you be all right if I called you an artist? Because this really looks like,
No,
you know,
those
the
are big
love.
words. I am no artist, but when I conceive Frangipani, and if you will see anywhere the tagline of the signature line, I call myself not a developer, not a builder, no, I call myself a chief gardener, and I'm happy to remain that.
Sir, I'd humbly disagree with you, because when I had a tour of this community and when Vanshika told me about the kind of effort and love you've put into every single aspect of it, the only thing that I could think of is that this kind of love and dedication, I wouldn't call it obsession, I call it love and dedication, is shown by an artist towards his craft or his piece of art.
Thank you, but and I can tell you I'm borderline obsessive. I'm borderline obsessive because yes, I get very personal when it comes to my community and especially my plants, and or let's say the larger picture, nature. I cannot stand destroying or playing with nature. For me, nature is prime importance.
So, how
So
much of an importance do you think obsession plays while building something truly great?
it's only obsession that works. If you're not obsessed with what you're doing, you can't reach greater heights. You cannot break barriers that come in front of you, or situations that arise in front of you. You are not able to uh, go past them till you're not obsessed with the end goal. So yes, obsession is very important if you want to excel.
So, deviating off topic slightly, uh, I realized that, I mean, you mentioned that earlier that SPA group is debt free.
Okay,
Why is that?
good question. So historically, I understand from my father and from my great grandfather that they never believed in taking debt. Whatever businesses they did with their own internal accruals. Okay, I heard it all, everything. Then I, at the age of 21, decided to start floriculture. And like a young, brash, aggressive person, I walk into IDBI to apply for a loan against the wishes of my father. My father said, "We'll fund it. That's not a problem." I said, "No, the times are different. Today, you're supposed to do business on borrowed funds because the cost of borrowed funds is technically cheaper." But long and short of it, I went at the age of 21, got my way through, spoke to this thing, and got a IDBI loan sanctioned. and started the project. Project went bust initially, lost all that money, mounted my loan, mounted on the penal interest, and with not being able to pay to the bank, and the banks obviously arm twisting you. And then also my father says, never mind, we'll pay whatever the bank's letter has come, we'll pay all this interest penalty and let's wipe out the whole liability. Doesn't matter, sometimes bad things, I mean, you don't, things don't go according to plan. I said, excuse me, that ain't happening. First and foremost, I've already downed your money. On top of that, now you are ready to fund the losses that the bank's loan I have taken. That was not my purpose of coming to Bangalore. My purpose of coming to Bangalore was to try and do things on my own and achieve something on my own. And I'm clearly looking at or staring at failure at the mirror, which is not why I came here and put my life, sweat, blood into it. I said, okay, give me time. Let me figure out. And we turned around the company and basically cleared all liabilities without taking a rupee from my Calcutta, from my father. I settled the IDBI loan, sat with them, did the necessary settlement, cleaned my name, cleaned my liabilities. But that day was a turning point of my life. I said, okay, it's not worth, because you can't guarantee your future. But what you can guarantee is your effort and the return that your effort is making without borrowing that money. So, somewhere in the very initial years of my life, at a young age of 21, when you have borrowed money and you see such, because it could be the other way around, maybe that money I would have done very well in that business, and maybe today I would be in tons of debt and I could be doing a different scale of business. Like today, with the kind of land banks we have and the kind of business we are doing, today if I get into debt, because debt is a multiplier of minimum 10x. It's a simple formula. So whatever we are doing, we would be 10 times over had I taken debt. But somewhere it would have become a number game rather than passion at play. And I didn't want to chase numbers, get into that rat race. Then you land up making a factory rather than a boutique. If you know the difference between
Yes, sir.
today you go to get a customized suit done, which you can get it in any of the ready-made, from Marks and Spencers to Reliance to wherever. Those are ready-made, factory-made suits. But there's a reason why you get personalized, bespoke, tailored to fit. That's what I am. That do things curated and passionately.
So I that was very impactful. And I must say, based on what you've said, I was going to ask you: is there a reason why you've chosen to build in like a quite luxury spaces compared to going down, just reaching tremendous scale? But that's not who you are. You're the person who wants to build something and just build something that's so spectacular, not just for others but for yourself. And just coming back to the topic of this estate, where did the name come from?
Again, because one of my favorite flowers is Frangipani, which we call as champa, as we call plumeria, the scientific name. So Frangipani is the colloquial name. And one of my favorite trees, a tree that has growing in our gardens as kids, when we were growing up, there were so many frangipani trees. So I resonate with the flowers. Every day I remember when it would be very breezy, as kids we would go running around, and I would, while others were playing cricket, I would go running around picking up frangipani flowers, and then I would just play with them or make some design out of it. So for me, those are small memories of childhood that have lived with me, and I want them to live till the end with me. So these are ways that I connect my memories, that I bring them into my passion, things that I have kept in my childhood memory and that builds on it.
So was that the idea behind this project?
Yeah, I grew up in large spaces to begin with, so probably somewhere deep down, that's been as a part of my DNA. And I have obviously understood As a child, that space is luxury. Boss, whatever we can talk, the price tag, or you talk brand as luxury, or you talk location as luxury, I think that story is undergoing a major demographic change where more and more people are relating and resonating with the philosophy that A, space is luxury, B, nature is ultra luxury. Because today, how many people want to stay connected to nature in some form or the other? Today, all of us look at it on a daily basis, want to go and take a holiday in the hills, go to a beach, go to the mountains. What exactly are you paying for? You're paying to get closer to nature. All of us are in the race to pay any kind of money to stay connected with nature. So, why not on a day to day basis? Why only on holidays for a 10-day, 15-day, or a month of holiday that you can afford? Why can't you afford a daily life which is that feels like holiday to you? That's pretty much my philosophy. Why does every day on a other than your holiday has to be like a day that you wake up on a gunpoint and you sleep on a gunpoint knowing that tomorrow morning again you have to wake up at that gunpoint? I strongly believe that let your life, if you can, if you've arrived, if you've reached there, if you understand the nuances of life, you will relate that let each day of your life be the feeling of a holiday, a sense of self satisfaction, a sense of self belief. Slow life, I mean, we can, quiet luxury, you can term it whatever you want, but the bottom line remains that you want to be every day living it, not exist. Like we as a group have a tagline that was coined by me because I was using this sentence over years many times, and then that some people said, "Sir, can we put this as why exist when you can live?" That is what our philosophy is, and that is what our tagline is. So, if that kind of gives you a sense, there is that fine line that you draw between existing and living. I believe whoever can afford, again, it is not about financial affordability. Please remember, there are a lot of people today on earth who can afford money. What you can't afford is time. For me, time is money. The time you give to your family, the time you give to yourself, the time you give to your health, the time you give to the nature around you. If you can afford to do that, you are in the true fashion
Wealthy.
wealthy. Absolutely. Because you have a huge bank balance. Are you wealthy? I'm sorry, I beg to differ. My definition of wealthy is that if I am able to play with my grandchildren on my own without any help at the age of 70, 80, I would consider myself seriously wealthy. And I'm working towards it. What will my bank balance do at that stage if I'm not able to play with my grandchildren and I'm in bed?
Nothing.
Small example.
So, when did you get the idea to start? Like, when did you get the idea to start this? And can you walk us through the journey of building this entire project?
Oh, that was a tricky one because when I came up with this idea, basically the idea was again to create a community where we can, where nature will dominate all of us, and there is nothing that we will do will overtake or overpower nature. So first and foremost, we managed to achieve that. And I remember going back to, in the initial days when I went to my architect and I told him this is my plan and this is my, he actually had a blank look on his face, then very sheepishly and politely, knowing that I'm a client and he might offend me, "Sir, actually, if you don't mind, can I say something?" I said, "Please go ahead." And he said, "Sir, I think your requirements are a little unfeasible because the scales are too large and this is not how we develop communities. Allow me to." And at that stage, I had to tell him that was I have come with a premeditated thought and I would kind of like to stick with it. I mean, small example, we've created a 2-acre park where minimum estate sizes are 20,000 going up to 45,000 square feet an estate. Logical question by my architect that, sir, why do you need uh, a park 2 acres, that much area? You can, I will give you saleable space. I will cut more estates and give you. I said, that's not the idea. The idea is that I want just a very limited edition number of families where there is large spaces, just nature. The eco balance is created. We then, I told him I want a 2-acre lake. He was stoned. He didn't know how to react. He said, sir, after 2-acre park, you also want a 2-acre lake? I said, yes. And then I said, I also want a 2-acre clubhouse. And he said, sir, for 33 families, all of this? I said, yes. And he said, sir, it's not economically, financially viable. I said, I agree. But when did I say that I want an economically viable project? This is something I want to do out of my passion. And passion does not have quantification or value. He said, sir, if you insist. I said, no, there's no insistence. This is what I want. It's not a question of me trying to dictate anything. This is purely, clearly what I want. He said, done, sir, I will do it. And that's how the journey began. I mean, today we have a road which can land a small aircraft just for 33 families. I mean, you can relate that this expanse to me is luxury. People who are becoming part of this are those who clearly resonate and connect with this. There are a lot of wealthy people that I have met who have tons of money in the bank balance, but they tell me, Prashant, great community, but we can't afford it. Why? Because we can't give time. Because for Frangipani, like I always say, is a way of life, and that money can't buy. Your philosophy can afford it. So that has been my journey with Frangipani, where we started on a very outlandish note, not knowing where this journey will go. But as each day passed, we kept building on it, keep developing, and yeah, the rest is what you see today.
So can you tell us about the time, like the first time you visited this piece of land, what it was then? Did you ever imagine that you are going to build a community like this on that kind of land?
So when I came to this location, and why I bought land in this location at that point of time was out in the wild, kind of back of beyond in the wilderness, was A, because since I have been connected with nature from childhood, somewhere God has given me the energy and the power to kind of connect with the soil. And whenever I enter a piece of land, I get energies. I'm able to sense that yes, this land is good. Is it giving me positive energy or it is not giving me positive energy? There's no science behind it or maths behind it, though there are people who practice science on that. But for me, it is just the belief that yes, coming here gives me a good feeling. So when I came to this location and when I saw this land, I love the topography of it. I like there was a huge rock in between, which we thought that we'll, in my head that I'll work around the whole community around the central spine of that rock, and that the whole flow of the land look very organic. It was a barren land. There was nothing. And I said, yeah, it gives me an open canvas and it makes things so much easier for me to play the cards the way I like. Because it's so much easier when you're given a, I mean, like you said, an artist, if you give him a blank canvas, he puts his creativity and passion at play. I think that's what I did.
How do you feel now that your painting is complete? When you enter this place, how do you feel? How does your heart feel?
Blessed. One word, blessed. See, we human beings can try a lot of things and we can aspire and dream and aim and attempt a lot of things. But what, without the blessings and the good wishes of our near dear ones, you can't achieve things like this. Trust me. I mean, I am taking zero credit for what you see here. Zero. I mean, I am just a facilitator, and I mean, I feel so blessed and thankful that today, whatever dream I had, whatever passion I had on this community, I have been able to achieve probably more than I had dreamt of.
So if you could just pinpoint maybe one or two things about like Frangipani, like what are your two, like maybe one or two favorite things about this community?
First favorite thing is the sense of calm that I get when I enter here. That's very unnerving. That's very discerning, because people who have visited here also have commented that there is a very different level of silence that they, is the silence that speaks to you, the calmness that speaks to you. So that is my first thing. Number two is the natural environment that it has got created, the way nature has overwhelmed. You plant trees, you plant, or you attempt to create an environment. I cannot take, because it's God's prerogative to create environments. I am only a facilitator. But today here it is that I've been able to create that environment. So my two strongest satisfactions as a take back is, from beginning I wanted that feeling of calm, and that nature around. At every corner that I see, I should see only nature. That was my whole idea.
So Frangipani is a 35-acre development. Is there any reason you've chosen to build only 33 plots?
First and foremost, Adnan, we don't call these plots, we call them estates for a reason. The philosophy was, as I told you in the beginning, for me, space is luxury. So, what we decided is to create a critical size of minimum 20,000 going up to 45,000. And when we sat on the drawing board, we figured out that we came out with a total of 33. As much as my architect was keen to make it 50, and as much as they wanted to do at least 35, I said, see, this is not a number game. Let's have a entry level that minimum 20,000. It sets a benchmark. Now today we are a officially villa community, approved villa community. Now for a approved villa community, this estate sizes is one of its kind in the country. There's no other villa community which has estates or plot, in your language, plot sizes of 20,000 square feet minimum. I mean, it's a joke, because today somebody would term it as, why not buy 10,000? People are selling today, calling it farmhouses, where they're selling 10,000 square feet or 20,000 square farmhouses. That is their journey. I am not judging them, but that's not the space. The whole idea of Frangipani, as I said, was for those families who understand that you're spoiled for space. You're literally, once you're part of this lifestyle, then you'll not be able to relate to space anywhere else.
So building on that, what do you want like the daily life of someone living here to be like?
So I have that written up when I had envisioned this whole community. That and there is a write up that I put on the website, which was written by me. That and the thing is basically that you wake up to chirping birds, but not to alarm bells. You go for a morning walk where your ducks and your turkeys are chasing you, and then you uh, soak in the view of the lake, you soak in the expanse of the green, you run on the uh, pebbled foot reflexology that we have, and after that you've come back home after your run or your workouts, and you pluck your fresh fruit out of your personal orchard and start your day accordingly. And then you're welcome to come to the club. You have your workspaces that are created. Please work out of the club, finish your job, go home, have lunch, go for an afternoon boat ride on the lake, come back, take a nap, get up, have your afternoon tea overlooking your kitchen garden, overlooking your swimming pool. You know, you're sitting in the evening looking at bright skies with stars. Today, we're facing a challenge even to look at the sky in the city. If you are getting a glimpse of the sky, there's a premium to that apartment. I don't know if you know. I mean, it's literally come down to that level of desperation to remain connected to outdoors. Today, if I can see something outside, if I can see a patch of green, there's a premium I have to pay for it. Here you sit under the starry skies. You sit on your own terms, play your music, listen. I mean, that's the day at Frangipani. I
So,
mean,
do you want to build more? I'm sorry for interrupting you.
yeah, no, no, carry on.
Do you envision to build more communities like these?
I envision to build more communities. Can I replicate Frangipani? I don't think so. Not because there is any loss of my passion or loss of my intent or any financial reasons, but if I may put it, the kind of pain, pleasure, passion, intent that has gone behind in this community, I'm not sure. What happens is you create a masterpiece and then you say, can you replicate that masterpiece? Then it is no more a masterpiece. So, as much as a lot of people have asked me that, can you do that? Can you make another one? Can we give you the land? And we are happy if you can. No, Frangipani will remain one and one only. There will be no second Frangipani, whereas I'm concerned. I mean, I'm sure down the line, a lot of people may try to replicate this philosophy, but I don't intend to create another Frangipani.
As you said, there can only be one masterpiece.
I believe so. I strongly believe that it is almost impossible to replicate what we have created here. The detailing is just insane.
So, did you have sleepless nights? Like,
I would not lie. Many, many. Because it was always that unnerving feeling of not knowing what tomorrow holds for me and whether I will be able to achieve what I have set out to do. It was not unnerving whether I will get people to relate to what I have created, whether I will get so called clients, whether I will get people who will understand my philosophy. That was secondary. Primary was my worry that I want to achieve what I have set out to achieve. God has been kind that I managed to do that.
so I'm going to ask you a personal question now. The first time you saw the completed community, did you get a tear in your eye? Or did you feel
So
so
I
emotional?
internally feel happy, overwhelmed. I may not have cried, but when you say that the first time when you saw the community completed, all my communities as a philosophy is work in progress till I'm alive. Because I always believe in trying to attain perfection, and I know very clearly that perfection is an illusion. So every time I come to the community, there's something new that I see that we believe we can implement, and my team is so much more encouraged that they kind of encourage me also to do it. So if you ask me, have you completed the community, my answer will be no. For me, this is work in progress. It's like our lives. We are living beings. Can you say that you have achieved perfection, or have you? No. Till the last day of your life, you are always learning something. You are always trying to attain something better than what you did yesterday. So, same is my principle here with all my communities, that every time you visit, even my children, when now they've taken over, they also now practice the same, that every time we come and we see something that can be improved, scaled up, made better, we attempt to do it.
So, do you think your not just your business philosophy, but but whatever you've created is not just an asset to you, but it's an extension of you in a way?
100%. 100% it is an extension of my passion. It is an 100%. It's Like I always tell people who are becoming part of Frangipani, that you become part of Frangipani when you want to leave behind a footprint of your legacy. And that's pretty much my objective. That what you see, these communities, we are not eternal, but these communities remain to be eternal. The whole ideology has been that you create something that allows generations to enjoy, and thereby you leave behind a footprint of your legacy. That is very important. Today, Taj Mahal was created, for example, or there are famous monuments. Today, they are legacies that people remember. I am not boasting that we are created any Taj Mahal, but just to give an example to make you understand the principal philosophy behind that, these are not just gated communities that you have made to generate revenue and move on. If you are able to get my point.
Yes.
I mean, for me, honestly, revenue is a byproduct. God has been very kind to us, and it is not that we have to look at revenue as a principal modus for doing or pursuing a passion. Because sometimes, if money is a necessity and not a byproduct, then your decisions are very tweaked, keeping financial objectives in mind, if you understand what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying. That was not the case here.
So do you think that has again led you to build something as spectacular as this? Because again, as you mentioned, the conversation with your architect, if money was your sole objective, you would have probably gone with 50, 60, 60 estates.
True.
But you want to build something spectacular, and there's this podcast, it's called the Founders Podcast. So it's this thing where he just like summarizes biographies of like these great entrepreneurs like Rockefeller, Steve Jobs, or Elon Musk, all of these guys. And the only thing that unites all of these people, and you too, sir, is this obsession and passion of creating something perfect. The money follows, but building is what's important.
Very true. I mean, those are big names and legacies that you mentioned, but they are definitely my source of inspiration and mentorship. Because today, if you see how Bill Gates of Microsoft, or if you see Steve Jobs, or if you see any of these people who have done path breaking developments or path breaking technology and have made, what was their passion? Their passion was not money. Their passion was, how can we come up with disruptive technology to make human lives and living more convenient and easier? That is pretty much their principle. They didn't get down to sit on the uh, algorithms, or they didn't sit down to make those codes knowing what the outcome is. They knew what the philosophy behind what they want, and they went backtracking that, how can I achieve that? And that's how, whether mobile got invented, whether computers got invented, and blah blah, I mean, so on and so forth. So yes, you're right. It is the philosophy, and it is your end goal, that come what may, you want to achieve that environment, and you want to achieve that goal. Will I achieve it? Once I achieve it, will people relate to me? There are technologies that have been built. You don't know when Steve Jobs built that. Will that technology be absorbed by the market? Will people relate to that? But that is only after he's created the product, na? Till you've not created, it's a guess. People may not accept. It's like making a movie. Today, there are movies which are today classics, bombed. The biggest example is Sholay. Sholay initially bombed, and then sudden. So what happens is, you might make masterpieces, but not necessarily that people will relate, or might take time to relate to it.
So this inherent belief and the work being done for yourself as compared to chasing external validation is critical.
Very. I have never in my life seeked external validation. Never, never. I raise my bar every day morning that I wake up. That's a policy that I have. If I've achieved something, very clear next day. So there is, so that is not a great feeling, because I tell you, nobody around me is happy, because I come across as someone who's never satisfied. I come across as someone who's never happy. And I'm not happy with myself either, if you ask me. Because every day I'm looking at ways, means, how can we better the situation? How can we better our environment? And then that obviously creates a disruption, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's how the whole mind is wired. I can't help it.
So, coming to the concluding question of this podcast, I'd like to ask you just one thing. How do you want your legacy through the SPA group and through Frangipani Estate to be remembered?
See, the legacy, I mean, they're big words, because I am not, it's just that would be happy that if we are able to create more such environments with the kind of land banks that we have, and which is my endeavor with my two daughters who have now taken over my business, and day to day operations I have no role to play. And with God's blessings, they have really started you know looking things for last couple of years, and I have no day to day role. So the only thing, when I reflect back now itself, is that what more can we do to make people's lives happier? And I would like people to know us more for giving them luxury without burning their pockets. Because for me, always I have believed that luxury is not about the price tag, it is about the value proposition of what you are getting into. Luxury of space, luxury of environment, luxury of clean air, luxury of. So I guess I would like our legacy of SPA group to be remembered on those fronts. Not as somebody who's become the number one developer with top line sales of X, Y, Z, or done this or done that. No, no, no. We just want to remain under the radar. We just want to do things that connect with people's hearts and make people happier. That's pretty much our objective. Because as we write, for us you matter. That's the group's tagline, that for us you matter.
I'd like to just deliver one closing statement that uh, in an era where you have builders and developers chasing to build the biggest buildings and just sell you a piece of a flat or a piece of land, Mr. Prashant here is selling you a piece of nature.
A piece of
Yes, sir.
philosophy, a piece of environment, a piece of lifestyle, if I may put it.
Yes, sir. I think that's way better put. All right.
So, yeah, because I strongly believe that you're not, in our communities, you don't buy into piece of land, you buy into piece of environment or a piece of lifestyle. That's very clear. We work around that. We work around very small needs of people that help their day to day life.
That's
So,
truly fascinating, sir.
so I would like to thank you so much for inviting me over at this podcast,
So
and I hope that you had a pleasant
I had a
visit.
we had a lovely time, and this has honestly been one of the most beautiful estates, or the most beautiful estate I have ever seen. And
Thank you.
I must
Thank
say,
you. It means a lot.
you're a magnificent artist.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.